What happened last night? You played a show, right?
Yeah, preserving.
Oh, nice. How'd that go?
Oh, it was great. It's freaking packed. Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Because
Were you? Was it the downstairs stage?
Mhm.
Cool.
Yeah. They said there.
Super cool.
They said there were almost 200 people there. I don't know.
Hell
if
yeah.
that's,
I didn't get the confirmation if it was a sellout. But
yeah, it was a lot.
close.
It was just
close.
many people. We started a mosh pit. It was great.
Great. You personally started a
No,
mosh pit?
No, but
Collectively,
one was
collectively,
started.
We started.
Okay.
A mosh pit was
One was
started.
started during your set.
Correct.
Nice. That's always a good feeling.
It may have been the end, but it was still during.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
I learned my lesson years ago. Fun fact, the last mosh pit I was in was a Grey Walker mosh pit.
Oh, wow.
It was at Millville Music Festival, and I'm pretty sure that I broke a rib and it never healed right. And I'm to
So
this
fuck
day
you,
believe
Brian.
that's why I'm still having issues with my right side.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
a theory anyway. But yeah, it was, I mean, I had a
Thanks.
blast. So thank you. And also, where should I send the bill?
Okay. Yeah, you could just slide it under the
Just
door
slide- okay.
anytime.
Fair.
All right. Well, hey, glad that you're here in good spirits,
Yeah.
smiling. That's nice to see you smile. And I'm wondering if maybe this is kind of like has anybody ever heard of a horror movie? The genre, horror films. You know how like sometimes in a horror film there's like a curse that gets passed on. I
Oh.
wonder if perhaps someone like broke a rib during your set
Yes.
last night, and now your pain will go away and it'll be passed on to them.
It's like an It Follows situation.
Yes.
So like,
Pit follows.
so yeah, Pit follows. Yes. And now I have to pass it to somebody else.
Yes.
So I need
perfect.
one more mosh pit in my lifetime.
Okay.
and
So
I'll-
whose ribs are we breaking? That's the
I
question.
haven't
Nose-
selected
nose
my
goes.
victim yet.
Uh-huh. Does anybody else have any mosh pit injuries or stories that they could share? This is a great way to start this
I
conversation.
think I told you all of mine when you had me on the podcast before, but I went to a show in Indianapolis, and the stage setup was very odd. It was like this scaffolding thing. It was like the stage was, I'm 5'9", and it was easily a foot above me. So it was like up here, and there was like a curtain hanging from it. But when the lights are down, you really can't tell that it's a curtain. It just looks like a wall.
Oh, this has concussion
Some
written
dude-
all over it.
Not that, but we're bumping around. It was at a contortionist show, so it was getting crazy. Someone rushes me, I rush him back. He rushes me harder, and he pushes me into it, and I'm thinking I'm going to hit a wall. I went through the curtain, and I landed on a row of like folding chairs that were laying. So I felt like I was on WrestleMania.
Oh my god.
And I just like hit them, and I remember I'm like, oh my, what the fuck? I just like stood up and just kind of staggered back into the crowd. Like
it was like in Harry Potter when they go through the wall to get to the train.
it was not on my bingo card of things that I was gonna expect to do that evening. So yes.
So Hogwarts was not on the other
No.
side.
No.
Okay.
There were probably 9 and 3/4 chairs behind
There were
There
like
you go.
30. It was like maybe they like use it for a banquet hall or something when there's not a show, and it was just like a row of chairs. Like when you put the shopping carts into the shopping cart thing, it was just like tons of chairs. And this is the rib thing.
Yeah.
I landed right on my
So
side.
she
like,
cursed you.
Oh, maybe that's where it came
Yeah,
from.
I don't
Oh my
know.
god.
Son of a bitch.
Oh my god.
Possibly.
We're learning so much today.
Yeah.
Mhm.
My history revealed.
So you two, any stories, mosh pits?
No, like significant injuries, but this is gonna sound so dumb. Oh my gosh. When I saw Wage War for the first time, I think that was 2018 or 2019, I can't remember. And I moshed during their set. I lost all of my fingernails. Now, not my no. Not, okay, so
I know. Yeah,
not my actual nails.
Yes.
But like I had like acrylics on. I lost, and they all snapped off.
Every
Like,
woman
every
watching this
single
is
one
like,
of them. That's the extent of my like moshing injuries, but it was worth it. So
Hell yeah. You got anything?
No, I'm the baby of the group. I'm sorry.
All right.
There, no significant moshing in my.
All right,
I got
so-
my nose broken at a Code Orange show, but that was my own dumb fault. That's it. That's all I'll say.
The metal scene was not very big where I'm from, so
Well,
unfortunate.
good segue. Way to call yourself out.
Well,
Where are you from?
I'm from a small town outside of Charleston, South Carolina.
Very cool.
Yeah, my wife's from here. That's why we're up in Pennsylvania. Good old Pittsburgh, PA.
Well, welcome to Pittsburgh. We're all in Pittsburgh. And today we are sitting here talking with the one and only, for those
Are you looking at
in
me?
question, a rock group, I would imagine. What subgenre would you like to call yourselves? Do you subscribe to this meticulous subgenre stuff? You want to go rock/metal?
Should we pull?
Give me some love, Jason. What do you think?
Should we pull out the wheel of genres?
Yeah.
We're having an identity crisis right now, Brian.
Yeah,
I won't
we're
lie.
like-
I think the best place for a band to be in, honestly, at least creatively, is an identity crisis. If you have it figured out, then that's boring.
I think we thought we had it figured out at first. And then, like, over the past couple years, it's the cyclical thing of the wheel of genres has hit us, and we don't even know.
Yeah.
We don't even know.
All right. So, I mean, what the fuck are you doing? What do you think? Where are we at now?
We're making rad music.
Okay,
I don't know.
love it.
It was like an alternative metal, but it's like that feels too broad, but broad enough. And then it's, I don't know.
I feel like we like recently kind of came to the realization that like we kind of want to go a little bit heavier. We're all kind of into that music, so I feel like it's kind of been like a realization here for all of us. Like, let's crank it up a little bit, you know. Like we all have fun at like metalcore shows and stuff like that, and like I feel like a lot of us listen to that kind of stuff in our earlier years and stuff. So I me personally, like that's kind of why I joined this project, was like I wanted to do something a little bit more on the metal side of things, and like I think it gives us the creative freedom to kind of make what we want. So
yeah, the genesis of the project was back in 2021. It was pretty much, hey, do you like stuff you would have heard on Octane radio in 2005? So we all started off like, oh, Breaking Benjamin, Chevelle, Alice in Chains, Linkin Park, all that kind of thing. And then over time, as we changed members, we changed even just like getting new gear, getting new influences. It's just sort of ebbed and flowed into this, okay, let's get a little chunkier. Let's get a little, if we want to go more prog, we can. If we want to go more just, we said last night, meathead. Like if we get thrown a meathead riff,
totally.
I want to make riffs for the working man.
Oh yeah,
you know, like, I want to have that energy and fun. You know,
yeah.
I think that's something that like I think we've all found in this group too. Is like it's just fun to play together.
It is fun.
You know,
it is a lot
like
of fun.
we're all goofballs, and like practice is pretty much like
it's the most fun I've ever had.
50% music and 50% comedy hour, and I live for that. Like it's so much fun. So
yeah, I mean, I personally feel like it's like really hard to be creative with in an environment that I don't enjoy being in, or people that I don't enjoy being around. Like I wouldn't want to do it any other way. I mean, there's people that do manage to do it, like I don't know, Oasis. They didn't like each other, right? Or the Beatles. They didn't like each other. They made some songs that people listened to.
Wasn't Oasis, weren't they brothers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's
Brothers.
tough.
Yeah.
So we're doing metal, we'll say.
Sure.
Just a metal band.
Yes, metal.
Hi.
Underlined.
We're a metal band.
With influences ranging from any lunch table that somebody might have sat at in high school.
Yes.
That's a great way to
accurate.
yeah, exactly. That's pretty
That's
accurate.
so accurate.
We are not click specific.
Yeah, that's pretty
Mhm.
fucking accurate. Like I think like Kelly and I definitely bring like the prog nerd side of the
Totally.
table.
Yeah.
And then like, you know, we all kind of enjoy the metalcore stuff and
Yeah.
like anything from that to
Like it
death
could go
metal
from
and
Spirit
stuff.
Box to Earth, Wind and Fire to
Mhm.
The Weeknd to Katy Perry to,
Yeah, sure. It's like whatever. It's whatever you want to do.
It's anything's up for grabs.
Yeah, totally. So now that you're finding yourselves in this position where like, okay, we've been a band for a few years. Some people have come, some people have gone. We've played some shows, we've written some songs, we're doing these types of things.
Mhm.
Is there like something that you haven't done yet that you're hoping to do as a band musically? Or do you think like in the journey of figuring things out, like is there stuff that you haven't tried yet? like having like half of your band being synthesized backtracks or something like that. you know.
We will never do that.
That was a callback to before we started recording.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely don't think we want to go that route.
We don't want a computer-based solo.
Yeah, we'll leave the solos to actual humans. But I do think that like that kind of goes back to like what we've been talking about, like with the new direction and kind of getting a little bit heavier. I think we want to like explore like different tunings and like kind of get some of the lower stuff, kind of get more of those like syncopated rhythms between the drums and guitars and stuff like that. You know, listening to bands like Meshuggah and Fear Factory and stuff like that, that stuff resonates with me, and I'm sure probably you.
My feet crave polyrhythms.
Yeah. Like literally, I was just like kind of writing one of those things the other day.
My soul yearns for odd time signatures.
Yeah, so like that's definitely kind of some of the stuff that I want to.
We have this Tool flag in our band that Zach just did. The little guy from the cover of Lateralis.
Oh yeah. Isn't the guy on the cover of Meshuggah's Obzen doing that too?
Yeah,
but it's like
totally.
It's some other weird hand thing, right?
Yeah, except he's got like 15 fingers.
15
fingers.
Yeah.
Isn't he like covered in blood too?
His hands are
black,
blood.
like black stuff or something.
No,
I thought it was
It might be blood. I don't know, but yeah.
Well, I thought that album cover was an indication of if you go to 7-Eleven and get a Slurpee and then try to listen to Meshuggah in your car while holding a Slurpee simultaneously.
That's what ends up happening.
I thought that's what happens, right?
So it happens when you try to tap out the drum pattern on your steering wheel.
That's
my
That's what
Slurpee.
everybody does when they get an 8-string guitar. It's immediately learn bleed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what everybody thinks they're going to do when they get a guitar.
Sure. I find myself, I had a little bit of a drive today, a little like 6-hour jaunt back home.
Just a little one.
And I was, trying to listen to some new music, and I'm finding myself like getting like really exhausted by like what is happening in a lot of like modern music. But for the sake of this conversation, we'll just keep it to metal. And it's just like everything sounds so creatively indistinguishable from each other. I feel like everybody is kind of trying to do a similar thing, which makes sense, but also everybody's using the same fucking plugin. So everybody's drum tones and guitar tones and everything sounds the same.
Yes.
So my question for those in question would be, what the fuck are you gonna do to be a little more creatively distinguishable from your peers, or have you not even thought about this yet? I'm grilling you.
Not use drum samples.
Not me, baby.
Drum samples.
Oh shit.
I can't. I have to be cards on the table. We're definitely using plugins.
Yeah,
and,
I mean,
stuff.
that's the thing is, I don't want to like throw it out there like I think this stuff is bad. I think these are great tools and everything sounds cool. It's just interesting how everything sounds the same. Like, sure, like if I had guitar, I would probably play through the fucking Neural Gojira plugin like anybody else would. Why not? The fucking thing sounds great.
I'm using the Nolly. I'm using the Nolly Arch type.
But like, it all sounds the same.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do we find ways to get outside of that? And I think it's really just focus on writing good songs.
Yeah, I think so. I think too, like it's also like kind of back to what we were talking about before we started. Like it's kind of the production value like thing. Like, do we want to like go that like kind of digital route and like have like tons of samples and stuff like that? I think for us, like we enjoy the sound of like a live band. Like that's kind of why we started doing this. We want to play our music. We don't want to play our music. You know what I mean? Through a speaker. Like
totally.
Like, so I think that like for us, like kind of keeping things a little bit more raw and doing like live recorded drums and like, you know, experimenting with different guitar tones and stuff like that. Like I'm using, when I write leads or something like that, like I'm using a certain plugin, but like Zach's like experimenting with different, I didn't do it. Zach's experimenting with like different, you know, like effects on the like a pedal board or
amplifiers.
Stuff like
I've gone through what?
You've had so much gear since you joined this band.
Different amplifier combinations since joining the band.
Need to revoke Zach's reverb account. He's on there like every 35 seconds. Like at practice, like, oh, this guy just made me an offer on. No, I'm just teasing you.
Does it sound good?
It sounds amazing.
All right,
that's why.
I think too, like what we're trying to do is kind of bring in like some of those popular elements that a lot of people use, but also keep it like, our own thing.
True
like,
to who we are. As musicians.
Well, there you go. See, that's the most important answer right there. Is that none of it really fucking matters. The only thing that matters is that you're doing what you actually want to do.
It was something
honestly.
I saw Randy Blythe from Lamb of God, the frontman for Lamb of God, and he said, "I don't really care. I don't give a shit if you like my music or not. I write it for me, and I write it for these 3 other people, and that's all I care about."
Yeah,
I write music for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Other people happen to like it, and that's awesome. But that's my take on it.
And I think that's what makes this so fun is like, all the stuff that we've written together so far, and like, I'm the newbie of the band, but like, even just the influence that I've had so far, like, I think that it's like elevated us a little bit to like all kind of be on the same page and start writing in a newer way that like, we all like, and it just makes it so much more fun to play together and like, create stuff.
Totally.
That's the interesting thing when you have, we've had lineup changes and like we're working with material from former members. Like a lot of the lyrics actually are from former members and foundational members and stuff. And you try to carry that with you. You don't want to throw that away and like disrespect the stuff that they contributed, but you do have to find a way to bring new emotions to it, bring a solid presence to it. And I think really making music together with the right group of people ensures that task is a success at any level, really.
Sure. And that's like a really convenient segue. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Because the thing that I'm kind of noticing here with everybody hanging out, I don't know everybody all that well, but on a surface level, I would say we all seem like reasonably well-adjusted people that are doing fine. And we're playing aggressive music that sometimes can be angry, and sometimes the song's got to have some attitude, some emotion, some passion. It's not all fucking Beach Boys, right?
Yeah.
So lyrically, what is the kind of approach to this band in terms of subject matter and the things that we're trying to get off our chest?
I'm wondering.
So
don't fuck this up.
I think that's actually a really good question. So like, Kelly writes from a really interesting standpoint. And I know that you pull from a lot of like personal experiences that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, like, so I'm new to all of this. So the things that I've been trying to do in terms of like lyrics and writing is pull from those experiences, because I think that's how you can relate to people really well. And I know that for Kelly and I, it's like it's pulling from a lot of like different places of emotion too. So I know like was it Metanoia that you wrote like immediately after?
I'm so sorry, because I know my boyfriend's gonna watch this, but we got in this argument the one night, and I was like, I went to bed angry, and I woke up at 2:30 in the morning, and I literally penned all the lyrics, and I wrote the melody for our one song Metanoia. And now it's like, honestly, through writing the lyrics to it, like we're so over it. It was a dumb fight and it was a misunderstanding, but at the moment it felt super real. And I was like, here's what I think this song should sound like. And then we handed it to Katie, and she, got a great melody going. And I think you told me the one time, you're like, I really enjoyed performing that song because it feels relatable to me. Mm-hmm. And I guess if we can impress that upon our listeners, even better. Mm-hmm. But kind of going back to the Randy Blythe thing, it's like, it's great for us if other people find something in that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. So you're in like this particular case being more of like a storyteller, versus like a what would the opposite of that be?
I don't
not lyricist, but like a I don't know. I'm not smart enough to fucking do this. Why'd they even give me a podcast? Who's they? This is my fucking show. What are we talking about? I did this to myself.
Like a wordsmith, maybe?
Sure. Like, well, like somebody that tells somebody like from their own perspective, professionally, like an autobiographical.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Again, whatever. I'm not an English teacher.
That's also nice. Some of our songs that were written lyrically by members who are no longer in the band, they had a whole other like sci-fi kind of thing and like this very apocalyptic kind of feel. And I think that's really interesting. It's just we kind of have left that where it was without trying to add our own flair into it. We just want to perform the songs. And then now with this group, we're trying to, I guess, get a little bit more autobiographical, but not every single one of us, like there's not a writer in this band. I just happen to sometimes write lyrics. Zach wrote lyrics to actually our song that's our first single. I think Jason has some lyrics cooking. You have some lyrics cooking. So it's one of those things where it's not like all one size fits all.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, like from a writing perspective, like that's something that I try to do is like I like when I listen to a song and I can relate to it because I understand the emotion behind it. And that when I write stuff, like that's kind of the place that I write from is like I think about like experiences that I've had and like let's be honest, like you know, no matter like how great your life is or whatever, like everybody's had a point in life that it fucking sucked, you know? So like having like those experiences, I think helps fuel like the ability to channel that emotion. And like, I like to create things that are like open enough that like you get the point, but also too, you can kind of take your own meaning from it. Mm-hmm. And I think that is something that like helps resonate with people who listen to our stuff.
Yeah, I think too, like with there's a song we're working on right now, and the way that I tried to structure it lyrically is that it is like a story where it has just kind of like the opening, it has the middle, and then it resolves like at the end. And I think that's like a good way to be able to relate to other people, be able to tell this story, and then at the end, we want our audience to feel like satisfied in like what they heard. Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember I put out a solo record in 2015 and I had a review from the Pittsburgh city paper. And the quote that I ended up putting on the front of the album to be an asshole was they said it was painfully self-deprecating.
Oops.
And I was like, okay. But you know, I thought that was funny and I leaned into it. But I felt like they had a point where it was like, okay, maybe like, you know, you write a song from your perspective, but maybe sometimes it could be too much from your perspective. And I think that like if music is a conversation between you and the listener, you kind of have to navigate it in a way where it's like sometimes you don't tell everybody everything.
Yeah,
you kind of got to leave some things maybe open to interpretation or to like tell a story in a way that other people are going to be able to like relate to it in a way. And if it's so specific to your thing to a point that like not only is it unrelatable, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah,
that could be a problem.
It's like, wow, I'm like in your house right now witnessing this argument you just had instead of it was like, okay, I felt disappointed by what happened. I felt let down. I'm going to spin that into something instead of, oh my God, I'm the fly on your wall. I can hear this happening. I don't want to, that's like projecting it onto other people almost at that point.
Yeah. And I think that like ultimately, like it's really fun just to like try to put yourself, you know, to get those feelings out there, or maybe sometimes to try to put yourself in the shoes of another person and tell somebody else's story through your own lens, or to just like make something silly up, like, you know, like some sci-fi fun adventure or whatever.
I mean, look at like Blind Guardian or something.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like power metal is notorious for that. Like, I'm going to climb to the summit and wave my hair around and have a sword. Like, it doesn't really, I don't know. I guess you could extrapolate some meaning from it. But
I think Tolkien is rolling in his grave, wondering where his fucking royalties are from all these goddamn power metal bands.
Yeah. Yep.
Big ups to Blind Guardian. Hansi Kirsch, great vocalist. I like that guy. Seems like a nice guy.
I'm sure. I'm just not a power metal person. Sorry.
Are we going to become a Viking metal band now?
Hell no.
Oh my gosh.
I literally have a Viking helmet in my office right now.
It's done.
We want to do it. Yeah. Like, I'm here. I don't want to do it though.
No, please, let's not.
Yeah.
Going to be people who are much better at that than
Amon Amarth already did it, so I feel like that. I feel like that Viking ship has already sailed.
Yes,
but
I feel like there's always space to do more. Like anytime I feel like there's been like some niche genre or niche, we'll just say genre, has been like oversaturated, somebody always finds a way to put like a fresh spin on it. And usually it's not even fresh. It's not reinventing the wheel. I think it's more or less just back to like a good song is a good song to me.
Yeah.
And I feel like I don't care if I were to like tab it out and it's like, oh, this is the most unoriginal thing in the world. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, a very wise man by the name of H.J. Hines, the ketchup guy, he has a quote that I read on the back of a ketchup bottle when I was 14 at Eaton Park, and it changed my life. It says, "To do a common thing uncommonly well brings success." The man was right.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if he was thinking that that would relate to like Spirit Box or something like that, but it does.
Or
There's nothing like organically all that special about Spirit Box other than the fact that they're really good songwriters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Spirit Box, but there's nothing new there. But it's okay. You could argue with me if you want to.
No, I'm not. I'm like thinking about their music and like, yeah, I can't necessarily say that they're.
But it doesn't have to be new.
But it just has
nothing. It just has to be good.
Captivating.
Yeah,
it has to give you all of the elements that, like, when you listen to music, you love. Whether it's bass tone, guitar tone, lyrics, vocal melodies, and stuff. It just has to deliver that
it factor.
Yeah, that it factor for you, and you know, blend. That's kind of, I think, like kind of what we're going for is like we want to evolve into that kind of band where we bring those elements in and like meld it in a way that like it draws people who like different factors, like
totally,
you know what I mean, like
yeah.
some of the modern production stuff and some of the like classic like, hey, we just like made it raw and like, you know, that kind of production value. So yeah, I think that like bands like that are good at finding those pieces and kind of melding them together.
Sure. I mean, and there's a reason why that stuff like works is just because it's all done really, 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 it's simple, but again, it's just done really well. And I think that like music should be like digested in the moment. Like I hate, like people do this with music, they do it with movies where it's like, oh, did you hear that new Gojira song? And somebody would be like, oh yeah, I heard that, but like it wasn't as good as the last record. And it's like, okay, why'd you have to say that? Did you like it? Like, oh yeah, it's pretty good. Then just say that. Yeah. Stop comparing everything that you digest to something else that happened. Yeah. Like live in the moment and just appreciate like what you have there.
Yeah. There's a very unfortunate thing I think that happens in metal where like, you know, people like a certain thing and they just grab onto it.
Yep.
And anything that isn't exactly that, like it's difficult to embrace something new a little bit.
Great example of
Metallica.
this. Yeah. Great example. My favorite band is Catatonia. They've gone from in the 90s, literally.
We've touched a nerve.
Apparently. Oh God, you're giving me the look. I love Catatonia, so it's like you got like the doom, like funeral doom, like literally sounds like someone throwing up in a bucket in the 90s to now it's almost unrecognizable, like pop infused, sparkly, progressive metal. And
imagine Doomgans.
What?
Stop it.
What? Yes. Okay. Yes. I got it now. Imagine Doomgans. And there's something along that spectrum that anybody can find something they like about, but you always have these people in like the Catatonia forms are like, I like when Jonas sounded like he was screaming from a graveyard. And I'm like, I don't. Sorry, that's just not the Catatonia I like.
Yeah.
And it's like those guys, even though they're now in their, I think, almost 50s, they've managed to stay together, keep writing music, keep evolving, like finding a style that works. And to me, if you're a band and you can't do that, like, you know, stagnation is death. You have to keep pushing and trying to find out what works for you, what delivers something to your fans.
Yeah, and I also think that a band like, I don't know, I think a lot of those comments that come from people that may judge a band like Catatonia probably have not been trying to write and record and release music for 4 decades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think you just get your interests and things just change.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and like, what do you expect to happen?
Yeah.
You know, like you can be like, okay, I know that you don't give a fuck about Iron Maiden, and maybe
Correct.
nobody else here does. It doesn't really matter. But when you listen to like Iron Maiden, the music that they release now, it sounds like what you would expect like dudes in their 60s rocking to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Good
and
for
then
them.
and then you could have like on the flip a band like Judas Priest that puts out music that still sounds like really fresh and young, but I'm half convinced that it's all being written by like 30-year-old dudes that worship them in a studio anyways. The stuff sounds sick. And Rob Halford's a fucking monster. No hate towards Judas Priest, but I'm just saying it's a different thing. And like, you know, again, just enjoy it in the moment, you know, like I the new Judas Priest stuff, they put out some new songs. They all fucking rip. I have fun listening to it. I'm not going to worry about too much about how it was recorded in the studio or who wrote what, who played what. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
It's fun for that 4 minutes. I'm having fun.
Yeah.
I'm not like going to sit here and watch like Harry Potter, just because I talked about that earlier, and like complain about the CGI or something like that. Like if this Judas Priest song has CGI on it, I don't give a shit. It sounds fun. I'm just driving in my car really fast listening to Rob Halford scream. We're fine.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah. I also too think like back to the Iron Maiden thing, like even if it's not your thing, like I've never been like a huge Iron Maiden fan or anything like that. I will never claim to be. But I will say, like, me and a buddy went to one of the shows. I think it was out in like Columbus or something, and we did the first to the rail thing. So like we were standing for 4 hours, not drinking, not pissing, or anything like that. But I have to say, it was worth it. Like even though that's not necessarily what I would go for, like freeing my mind of like a preconceived notion of like this isn't my music, you know, like just going and like experiencing it and like seeing the musicianship and appreciating it. Like it was a fucking incredible live show. Like I had a blast, and to see those guys, like
they still fucking go.
It's insane
and
like,
hard.
And they do the thing that I respect this, where it's like they know where their bread is buttered.
Yep.
And like they'll play a live show, they just play the old shit. They're not going to play any of that new stuff. It's like, we're going to write and record stuff because we're still friends. We still record in the studio. We have fun. We're writing these like weird 12-minute long dad rock songs. It's fine.
Yeah.
But if you're going to come see us live, we're going to give you all the 80s shit.
All the hits.
And just fucking go.
We're riding our coattails off into the sunset.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we got. And like that, like all of it with like the stage production and everything. It like, even to me as like somebody who's never like listened to them a lot, like it really sells it. You know what I mean? They're doing that, and they're still, even though they're playing stuff that's that old, they're still bringing in new people,
sure,
you know, through that experience and a new generation. So like, I think that it's also like, okay to kind of like, you know, if you're good at what you do, like do it, you know?
Totally. And like I've said this before plenty of times where, you know, like I don't really have a preferred style of music that I prefer to listen to or prefer to see live. I just want to see people that are like good at what they do, having fun and putting on a good show.
Yeah.
There's plenty of bands I've seen live. Like I could not give a fuck less about the Dave Matthews Band.
Thank you.
But they could fucking play. I'll watch that drummer fucking play drums for fucking 5 hours. I do not give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like they were a really good live band, but I don't care about the music at all. But still, it's like respect.
Yeah. Like
you know,
you're doing
like,
the thing.
Yeah. And you're doing it really good.
Yeah. Like nobody can take that away from you.
Snarky Puppy's another band like that.
Love them.
Great.
Larnell Lewis could, I mean, you know, like whenever they played Lingus, that he literally learned that song on the plane there. Like,
yes.
Dude, what the fuck?
Thank You Scientist is another one.
Yes.
So bizarre.
Yes.
And I wouldn't even claim to be a fan, but I saw them like, I think at Jurgles, and like fantastic at what they do. Like I sat there and watched them thoroughly entertained just because they're all such great musicians and stuff. So
oh yeah.
Ween's another one too.
Oh God. Yeah. Ween. Yeah. I had a little
good. Ween's so good.
In the realm of in the polyrhythm pockets, if you will. There's a band that some
Polly
people
Pockets.
listen to called Periphery.
Oh my gosh.
Fuck, here we go.
Right? They're pretty popular. People like that band. But I saw them at Stage AE, and they had Car Bomb on tour with them, which
We talked about Car Bomb on the last time.
I
was on your
fucking
podcast,
love Car Bomb,
Mhm.
but it was so funny because like they're both, weird polyrhythm bands.
Yeah.
But Periphery's a little bit more like polished and kind of clean, kind of
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
attitude's been scrubbed down with the Brillo pad,
Yeah.
and Car Bomb is very much just like, picking up a grenade.
Yeah.
And like I remember like just watching people watch them play during like all the Periphery people that
Yeah.
aren't like super deep in that world and just being like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
But it's just like it's like, how can you like a band like Periphery and not appreciate the musicianship of a band like Car Bomb? I don't understand how people surface level just listen to Periphery. But like they've managed to blow up. But that's the same thing that I've always been baffled about with like Tool. Like
Yeah.
I have a buddy that I went to high school with, Eric. The only fucking band that he ever listened to was Tool. Of all fucking bands, that's a weird fucking band to be like, oh, this is the band
Their
that I like.
fans are
Yeah.
so
The only
rad.
The only
that.
band.
See, I like
like,
Tool.
I like Tool too. I have every Tool record on vinyl. I like Tool.
Yeah.
But like that's a weird band to be like, that's the band that I like.
That's
It's
the
Tool.
one that did it. Yeah.
It's
And to be
it's a
like,
little
oh, like,
culty.
but then, I've been like, oh, like, throughout the years, like, oh, hey, like you like this, like you checked out like Tesseract or like Periphery, you know what I mean? These
No,
are all
no.
kind of
Tool. That's
Tool
it.
adjacent things. No,
Only
just Tool. Okay.
Yeah. I can't liking all of those bands. I can't imagine listening to Tool and then not liking things like Periphery or like Tesseract or Leprous or things
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
that.
see,
Like,
Tool for me was like the gateway to all that stuff.
yeah.
Like growing up, it was, oh, that's mental.
Yeah.
And then your
Right.
friends like, check this out. I'm like, dude, this is crazy.
On-
My thing with Tool is I like that they bring super obscure people with them on tour.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
the most off the wall shit you can find.
Oh yeah.
Like I think the guy that they went on the last recent tour was a one man band.
Oh, it was Steel
Steel
Beans or
Beans.
whatever, the
Yeah.
guy who got famous on Instagram
Yeah,
for like
he,
singing, drumming, and
sings,
playing guitar.
drums and plays the guitar all at the same time with
Yeah.
like no shirt on. Dude,
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's weird stuff. Like, I'm sure it's highly entertaining, but
We won't be doing that anytime soon. Sorry.
On the kind of bringing the conversation back around just a bit on the topic of writing songs that you want to do, doing the thing that you want to do. Tool is an interesting example of this because it's really hard for me to tell if anybody actually wants to do this or not. In that band, I feel like they have a hard time getting along with each other in terms of what the songs are going to be. And I feel like musically over the years, the songs have just gotten more and more selfish. And I feel like it's for them to a point that like they've kind of lost me. The same thing also happened with Bjork. That's kind of a weird thing where it's like you're putting so much of yourself into this. Like the last two albums, great. The vocal performance is the best as he ever fucking sounded in his goddamn life.
Yeah.
But it's like musically, it's just like I wish that like there would be actually more for the listener in there, but maybe I'm just engaging with it in a way that isn't meant to be. Like I feel like they've kind of lost like the hook in a lot of their music, but maybe
For
that's
Tool, you mean?
for Tool. Yeah.
Yeah. I also
Like
think
it's
that,
kind of like it's all about like the mantra and getting lost in like the groove, and it's very more like meditative, which is cool.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the thing. I read an article, I think it was Revolver magazine or something put out, where Justin Chancellor was saying that they're not beholden to anybody. They're not signed to a record label. Their last album was self-produced, and they just write material. Adam Jones brings a song, Justin brings a song, Maynard brings a song, Danny brings a song, and they have this process of weeding out music. And if they all like it, they put it on a short list to get produced. But I think they write it for themselves. They write it for the whole mantra.
What, it took them like
Of Tool.
11 or
I was
13
gonna
years
say,
to get Fear
yeah,
from
Inoculum
10,000
out? I mean,
days.
13 years
Fear
also
Inoculum.
might have something
like
to do with
Tool
them,
fans
like,
on
kind of losing
Suicide
people.
Watch until that came out. They're like, I need another Tool album.
But like
I was
10,000 Days was fantastic.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, I really hope Fear Inoculum's good because 10,000 Days was awesome.
10,000 Days is my favorite Tool album by far, for sure.
I think the the vocal performances on Fear really helped save that record for me. If it wasn't for that, I don't know if I would have given a shit.
It was really good. And then I saw him on that tour, and it was just as good.
Yeah.
So,
really it's good. Funny, like how much, you could put all of this work into writing a composition, a musical piece of art, and how much of it really hinges, if you're going to put vocals on it, the performance of that vocalist can really make or break your band.
Katie,
not to put any pressure on you.
This is like bombastic side eye over here.
So, as a vocalist, when you are either getting like lyrics for a song or getting ready to maybe like write your own stuff, what is some of the like approaches that you try to take, or what do you try to prioritize when you're like starting to think about like what are the vocals on this song going to feel like, what are they going to sound like, all that sort of stuff? What's your brain
for
thoughts?
Me? So it's especially like, okay, so I'm hit with lyrics, even if it's not something that I wrote. It is all about the way that it feels. It's about the way that I interpret it. It's about the emotions that come when I'm like reading through the lyrics. And I try to make sure that coordinates nicely with the music underneath that. So that's just the approach that I've been taking.
Yeah. I mean, the voice is another instrument, they say. But I think one of the very telltale signs of a band, in my experience, that you could tell they're very inexperienced or not good at communicating with each other is when you have a band that rips and then the vocalist is maybe not necessarily a bad vocalist, but you could just tell that it's like oil and water. Like it's not working together. Like there's like, they're going way too much. Like there hasn't been like enough input from everybody about like what the vocals of this should be. I know some bands are just like, oh, we just let him do whatever. We're not involved in this at all.
Yeah.
And that's like kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, that's not us.
I think if anything, like we've kind of gone the opposite direction since I've joined. Like Katie and I have like worked a bit like to like either like revamp stuff that we've already like have written or like try to come up with new ideas. And I think that like that communication like between all parts, because like you said, the voice is an instrument, so it fits into the pocket of the song just like a bass or a guitar or drums. Like us being able to communicate and speak that language to each other like is super helpful in like creating something that's better than it might have been like if we just wrote it by ourselves.
Yeah. And on the flip of that, you also have an issue sometimes too, whereas songwriters, particularly in the heavy metal subgenre, sometimes it's easy to get kind of overzealous with the parts that we want to put into a song, and maybe remembering to leave space for a vocalist.
Oh yeah,
can be an issue.
I was actually like just thinking about this morning. One of the like, because we've been having the conversations about like where we want to go and like how to like to write certain styles of music. One of the things that I think is like probably the hardest thing for a musician to do, especially from a drum, guitar, bass standpoint, is to not play.
Yep.
To leave space, to leave a rest in a song.
Yeah.
Like it's one of the hardest things to do because you feel like you have to be doing something. And if you're not contributing to the song, or it sounds like dead air. But sometimes just having those moments in a song where like the vocals stand on their own, or like the drums stand on their own, or the drums and the bass, or like a guitar part, like having those moments where like that piece kind of shines through is like, it's just as impactful as having the whole band doing things all at once. You know?
Yeah, it's funny. It's like whenever the more stuff that you try to put in, it's like less out of focus the whole picture becomes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And the first time that I like really dealt with this was like, so maybe like 10. Oh my God. I was gonna say 10 years ago, but we're in 2024, baby. Jesus Christ. So it would have been like 2009, 10. I played in a band called What's Left of Her, and I was the vocalist in that band. And it was like really cool. Like we played with Periphery and stuff like that. So like we were doing that kind of shit. But this was like way back in the day before, like, we played like Fire Halts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that band, it got to a point where they were continuing to write new music. And it was like, there was less and less that I could do.
Right.
That I was like, I don't even, like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with any of this stuff? And then it got to a point where like I left the band, and then they got another vocalist that was like a little bit more diverse that could do like all kinds of cleans and stuff. And even that was too crazy. And then they just ended up like changing their name to Save Us from the Archon. And we're an instrumental band.
Oh, and now they're and I don't even think they're a band anymore.
They're not a band anymore.
They were really great when they were around.
But so they just kind of decided to go that instrumental route, because for them it was all about, we need to all be playing all the time, but there just isn't space for vocalists in it. They're crazy guitar players.
Yeah.
So like it makes sense, but it was just like, for me at the time, it's like, what the fuck do you want me to do? This stuff sounds sick, but like there's no space for anything.
Yeah.
I think that too, like that's kind of part of the reason why Periphery has been able to do what they're doing, because they are just walking that fine line that like allows them to like leave just enough space for like Spencer to do his thing, but still keep things intricate. Like you could take probably any of their songs and just have it be a Bulb song, and like, that's it. But like they're aware enough to like pull back and like leave just enough space for Spencer to do his.
At that point, it's a composition thing too. Like I know you're an artist, you do graphics and stuff, and so do I. And one of the philosophies that's always served me really well that I read in this, I think his name's Scott McCloud. He's a well-known comic book illustrator, but he has a book on like the theory of making comics. And you might wonder, how does that relate to this? But he always emphasizes, like, if you're doing a Batman comic and every single panel is Batman punching the Joker in the face, it doesn't have the impact anymore. So he kind of talks about the philosophy of like the flow and like leading your reader to the part where the impact is actually important. I think you can apply the same thing to music.
Totally,
if you like this new song we're almost done working on, and it's going to be our next release. Jason kind of wrote a lot of these parts where it's like you have this intro and you have an outro and you have this kind of nice bookend, and we got our verse chorus pattern in the middle, and we're like, but does it need more? Like, no. Do you throw more in there? Like, do you just throw in a bridge because you feel like a bridge? I don't know. I mean, maybe it'll develop more over time, but I think if you are just cramming so much into a song because you're like, we got to do more, you don't have to do more. You might just have to do another song. Like your ideas can live in another place. You don't have to throw it all in one.
It's really easy to like metaphorically overwork the dough in a way.
Yeah.
And I find that sometimes like the most important thing for me, and the word that I probably say the most at like band practice, is dynamics. The song needs more dynamics. Like it's okay if like you're doing some like dumb meathead Dimebag Darrell riff for a second because it fucking grooves.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be barking like a rabid dog. And then you could go back to your little whittly diddly stuff and I'll step back.
Yeah.
And now we have dynamics. There's different things. It's not like going at fucking 10 all the time. Like when I was in high school, I went through this like phase of listening to like a ton of like tech death. And I still like a lot of that stuff, but like it's very like punishing, and a lot of it has a lack of dynamics where it's just like I get creatively indistinguishable. Again, all this stuff sounds the same.
I had this conversation with a fan at the merch table last night. Funny enough, he was the guy wearing the Spirit Box shirt, and we were all like, "Hey, I like your Spirit Box shirt." He's like, "I've had $1 for every time someone told me that today." But he was really nice, and I happened to be wearing a Fallujah shirt yesterday during our set, so we were talking about our shirts, and he's like, "I've heard of Fallujah, and I haven't really listened to them." He's like, "Describe them to me." And I was like, dude, if you like tech death, I like tech death too, but at a certain point, I just can't take another band where it sounds like 220 BPM, double kicks, machine gun, screaming. Like it becomes exhausting to your ear. And I said, to me, Fallujah is the one technical death metal band that has enough space and enough fluidity on top of the punishing heaviness that it stands out as unique, distinguishable, pleasant to the ear, and it's why I always go back to it. And he's like, oh, thanks, I'll have to check that out, because as much as I love Shadow of Intent, Lorna Shore, Die Hard is Murder, Carnifex, all those bands, they're so far into that little, pigeonhole. At a certain point, it's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Sure.
You keep doing the thing really, really well, or you're like, oh, you guys changed. You got soft. You sold out. It's like, well, whatever.
I think for some people, and there's no right or wrong way to listen to music or to like art. But for some people, they just maybe aren't looking for dynamics.
Yeah.
Some people will take a really nice plate of food and cover it in sriracha.
Yeah.
Nacho cheese.
So that's fine.
Or ketchup.
There's no wrong or right way. Yeah, sure. Ketchup, that's fine. There's no wrong or right way to eat mac and cheese, we'll say, right? If you want to put ketchup on your mac and cheese, go for it.
There's a wrong way to eat steak, though.
As long as you enjoy it.
I will stand on that. I will die on that hill.
Listen, there's a wrong way to eat steak and there's a wrong way to drink whiskey. Don't put ice in it. Cowards.
I'll be leaving.
No, I'm joking. I was just bringing up the whiskey thing. But I think that not everybody is looking for dynamics in music. I think some people just want that punishing thing because what they like about it is that intensity. And if they get anything outside of that, it's
like,
not their flavor.
This song is blue. I only like blue songs.
There you go. There you go. And in terms of song structures, I always say that I feel a good song structure should be like a roller coaster.
You just said that last night. You said that literally yesterday.
Yeah, we were talking about that latest song that we're working on, and that's kind of how I structured it. Is not every this song is like an out and back. It's not like loops. It's not like this crazy experience. It just takes you fast, brings you up, and brings you down. And sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's all you need. If it has the right feel, that's it. That's all you need. Sometimes it doesn't have to go in these crazy fucking loops that are
totally
just take you, halfway across the country and back.
Yeah. And it resolves the song you're referring to, it resolves, I was talking about earlier with lyrics. I like the storytelling where it's able to resolve. And this song does that musically too. Instrumentally, I should say, where we come back to the station, at the very end. And it's really nice.
Yeah. It's that's just my preferred method, I think, for listening to and creating music. I mean, I went through a BT Bam phase like any other good, respectable music fan, but they lost me at some point because I started to feel okay, I don't feel like I'm coming back around to anything.
You don't want a country hoedown in the middle of your 13-minute prog metal song?
Well, I mean,
what are you trying to say?
I mean, I had my Mr. Bungle phase when I was in high school, and I don't need it again. But again, respect to all those dudes, you know what I mean? Cool guys, good band, but it's just, again, that's just not for me. But a lot of people like that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just finding again, that's why I think the most important thing as an artist is what do we want to do? Let's do that really good, and then the rest is the rest of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It rubs me the wrong way sometimes when you could see a band doing things and I get a feeling where it's I don't even know if you want to be doing this.
And let's be
why are we doing this?
Yeah, let's be realistic. We're all basically in our 30s, just about 40s, whatever. Zach has
easy with that shit.
Hey,
pump the brakes.
Listen, I'm turning 39 this year. Okay, so
I mean,
we're close. All
Zach
right.
has a baby now. I want to have a baby in the future. We do this for fun. We do this outside of our full-time jobs. We all like each other. We enjoy our practice session. It's sometimes they're more productive than others and sometimes they're not. But at the end of the day, we're not trying to be Metallica. I mean, we just want to, at least to me, this is kind of a fulfillment in typical fashion. I'm always a late bloomer with everything. This is a fulfillment of something I've wanted to do for a long time. Yeah, I see Katie nodding her head very, very, very much. Too. Yeah, we all have kind of found our tribe, and it's we're going to do what we can do. while keeping this fun, while keeping it, challenging. We want to push each other, but there is not enough time in any of our lives for us to be like, hey, do you think we could become like an avant-garde technical grindcore band? That sounds like it would sell a lot of tickets.
Yeah,
Let's do that. No, we just want to do what we want to do.
I'm never going to write Periphery shit. Like, there's just no, I couldn't even play it if I wanted to.
Not with that attitude.
But have you seen his basses?
I play like the Periphery bass.
I literally play Nolly basses, but it's just like, that's not us. That's not us. That's not what we have fun with. And like, like I said before, like that's kind of the whole point of this thing is like, we all have fun together and like creating stuff that like, that not only like pleases us, but also like, so I'll use this example from last night. Like I'm looking out in the crowd as we're playing our like final song, Zealot. And there's like a mosh pit going on. And like seeing people genuinely resonate with like what we're doing, regardless of how complex or non-complex it is, like that's
the biggest victory.
Yeah, the two reasons are for us to have fun together and watch other people enjoy what we're doing.
Our energy on stage and those people out there absolutely murdering each other.
Yeah, like if that happens, we've succeeded. I don't really care like anything other than those two things. We had a blast doing it, and so did everybody else. And like to me, that's a W I'll take any day.
Hell yeah. I think that it's really important to focus on, again, just being in the moment, whether, you're listening to a song or eating steak with ketchup on it or playing a show, just be in that moment and like appreciate what you have in that moment instead of trying to like compare it to every other thing or nitpick every little detail of things. Like being an artist, it really isn't that serious.
Yeah.
It really isn't.
Yeah.
But it's so easy to like put that on yourself when like, if you're on your fucking ding dong phone all the time and like you see other people doing things and like killing it and stuff. It's like, just be happy for them and like try to get envy out the door. You can let it like things inspire you a bit to do more, like, oh, it's cool they're doing that. Let's try to maybe get some more shows or try to do like a cool music video or something. But like, you gotta just keep it light.
There's no shortage of people in the Pittsburgh music scene doing incredible things too. So I think for all of us, finally getting to this point where, like I think Zach, you had said last year, we had the goal last year to play one show. We played 10 shows. So to kind of put that foot on the gas, so to speak, that alone is just like, okay, we're kind of getting sick of our set list at this point. Like we need to start writing more instead of playing more. But to be able to kind of each step of the way be like, okay, this is progress. This is, we did this better than we did last time. Yep. And then you start to build your confidence. And then, you get booked on bigger and bigger shows. And it just all starts to swirl into this thing where, you're like, wow, we're actually doing the damn thing. This is really cool. Yeah, and then when you have kind of that bank of like positive feedback and confidence, I think the best kind of love you can receive is dependent on how much you give. To me, it's been a lot easier to appreciate what other people are doing now that we're kind of doing it there too. Like we've made friends with some other bands. We're going on their bills. We're starting to see the same people and be happy for the people who are like in the position we were in last year. Like, oh my God, I don't know how we're ever going to play our first show. And then you see them do it and then you see them do it again. And it's just like, it gives you, it gives you confidence. It's a great thing to see and be a part of.
Hell yeah. And, now you're out there, you got people coming to shows, you got them moshing, breaking ribs, passing on curses. All sorts of really great things are happening for the band.
Whoever's in our pit next time, I'm coming for you, motherfucker. I gotta get rid of this shit.
Thank God it wasn't some.
My knees can't take this anymore.
Jason,
my ribs.
You missed your opportunity at the Hard Rock. Could have been like some 50-year-old lady eating her club sandwich.
Right I gotta put it on. No. It has to be somebody young. I can't put it on anybody. That's older because
no one who's old enough to have an AARP membership.
Yeah, somebody who can recover from
that poor father and son combo that was sitting right by the stage.
Oh man.
This is my question.
Yes.
If the host dies, does the curse die with the host?
Ooh.
So are you doing the world a better favor by giving it to the elderly?
Oh my god.
Where'd you
It depends, because if we're playing
This
by
turns so dark
No,
so quickly.
if we're playing by It Follows rules, no, because then it just goes back to the other person.
Yeah.
where
So-
did this happen?
Yeah. What's that?
What venue did this happen at?
That was at
so we can't
the
play
Mill-
that.
Is it like a haunted mansion thing, where
Millville-
like the whole house is haunted?
yeah,
like
it was
the
the
venue's haunted?
Millville Community Center.
Oh, that's
right
where
next
you guys play every year. Oh, great.
Yeah.
That's probably where we're gonna play if
So
we
you
get on
want
Millville
somebody?
this
You
year.
want somebody
So
to
maybe
break
I have
the
to go
rib
back there.
Yeah.
And do it there.
Is this our
So it
sign
stays.
that we're gonna get
To
on
play the
Millville this
community-
year?
To play the
Yeah,
community
because that's always the metal
It's always
stage, right?
possible.
Yes.
So I mean, we're kind of metal, so maybe the curse will be broken in
The
2024.
wheel of metal says
Yeah.
we're metal.
Yeah.
I just hope it doesn't mean that I have to break a rib again, because I'm really not here for that. not
Just
not
throw me on
now.
a stack of folding chairs.
I
It'll be
wasn't
fine.
here for it then, and I'm not here for it now.
Well, before we wrap up today's conversation, this train is rounding the station. Believe it or not, we've been talking for an hour.
Oh
Ladies
my
and
gosh.
gentlemen.
Jeez.
Okay.
This ride is done. This choo-choo has finished. It was a bit of a longer ride, but not too long. It's like the Beast at Kings Island. It's my favorite wooden roller coaster in the world. I drove past it today on my way back from Kentucky.
Jealous.
Son of Beast.
This has no, yeah, R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Anyways, enough me ramping, blah, 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 blah. I don't have the sound effect button anymore, else I would have hit the booze.
Yeah, I
But-
was talking about the booze.
I've never talked out loud to people before, so I apologize. I'm stumbling over my words. But tell me what the band has coming up in the next few months leading up to potentially Millville Music Fest in May,
See,
where, you know, the curse will be
Lifted.
Alleviated.
lifted and passed on to someone else. We can use that as promotional material for Millville Music Fest.
Yes.
Come get cursed.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
tempt.
tempt fate.
Hashtag get wrecked.
Yeah. Get wrecked, tempt fate, battle the beast,
break a rib.
Yeah.
mosh a demon. Anyways, what the fuck am I talking about? What's the band doing?
Who wants to take this
Yeah.
one? 'Cause
Sure.
I'll-
So our next show is March 22nd. Is that a Friday? I think it's a
Yeah, I
Friday.
think so.
It's a Friday.
It is at Mr. Small's Funhouse, and we're playing with our very dear friends and guides. They are headlining. So that's what we have coming up next.
Cool. And
Yeah.
as far as like, you know, you had mentioned before that you were working on a song that's going to
Uh-huh.
be like a
Yep.
next release.
Yeah.
Is that just very like loosey goosey, no real
Do
deadline
you want
on
me to
that?
take that one?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we're working on a song. It's called Grayscale. We're hoping to have that released here probably before the guide show.
Wow. That sounds
Um,
like a professional timeline.
Yeah. like,
Yeah,
Nice.
he's the one doing it.
in
Well,
this so
tight.
like a little bit about like the production side of things. Sorry, I don't mean to like make us go over anything, but
Hey, it's a podcast. Go talk about things that are irrelevant.
but like
No, I'm
joking. So we released our first single last year called Rust, and this was like I went from like I was the one that like recorded it, produced it, and all that stuff, and like that was my first effort ever doing anything like that. And I went from like in 7 months, I went from never having like really fucking touched a DAW before to like releasing that.
Hell yeah.
And like back to like what we were talking about earlier, like as far as like band goals and like stuff that we get out of the band, like to me, that's been something that's been super satisfying, is to learn how to do that process and like always building, always trying to make things better. And this latest like project that we're working on with Grayscale is just like, it's like instrumentally it's better, like quality wise it's better. I just feel like every one of these things that we do, we're continually growing on it. So but yeah, like also because it took a little bit longer to do last time because I didn't have as much knowledge, now I'm like trying to set those kind of like deadlines for myself.
Okay,
So I'm
yeah.
like, okay, we got to get this piece done, and so we can move it into like mixing, mastering, and all that stuff. So
Yeah, it's difficult whenever you want to keep things like fun and light and loose, and they still are, but you still need to like deadlines and schedules and like, God forbid, responsibilities are still going to creep into like our fun little hobbies here.
Yeah.
If we want things to actually happen.
Exactly.
Correct.
Yeah. So like we actually have a vocal session scheduled for Friday this week. So we'll be doing that and trying to get that one wrapped up here. Probably, I would say probably somewhere around March time for release. So before the guide show, we'll probably have it out and then we'll be debuting it there.
Hell yeah. That rules. So where can people find you all on the internet? Who wants to take this one? Who's the social media expert?
I don't know. We're kind of all the social
democratically social media.
Yeah, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, Facebook. You can find all of our stuff. All of our stuff, our one song.
The one
song.
on all of the streaming platforms. That's YouTube, Facebook, or YouTube, Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Music, all that.
Deezer.
It is actually on Deezer. Yeah, that's one of them. So
yeah, this is I'm gonna give you all a cheat code. I've given this out a lot, so it's not special or anything, but it's just something that I like to do at shows.
Mm-hmm.
If you're ever curious how many musicians are in the crowd, just say like, "Hey, we got a new song out. It's available on Deezer." And whoever
I'm
laughs, they're in a band.
I'm doing that at our next show. It's happening.
Yes.
It's a good way to tell who's in bands.
You can find us on Tidal.
Yeah, if it's crickets, you're like, oh wow, there's actually people here. Just musicians aren't people.
Musicians aren't people.
Well, thank you all for coming on the show today.
Yes,
that's gonna wrap up our program. We'll just cut to me real quick, but also that's the wrong camera. This is my first time recording a podcast. I'll be back again next week with another episode. Same time, same place, same channel. You know the drill. Blah, 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 blah. Start the beat. My name is Brian. You already know where to find the show because you're watching it. So until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of the people around you, and peace out. That was it. We did a podcast.
Woo! Great. Thanks.
Oh my gosh. There it is. Hi. Okay.